Hello everyone and welcome to Loco Shortline Operations Dev Build Review for June 2023. Yeah, I'm hoping this is going to be a long running series where every month we can take a look at the development of the dev build month by month and what updates have been done to the game. Now if there's a demand for it, I will also cover the stable build for those of you that are just running standard stable version of the game, which for some of you that may be the better option. You know, everything is going to work as it should in the game as you get it. But for those who want to help out, want to test new features, there is the dev build. If you're unsure how to access that, let me know down in the comments and maybe we'll do a separate video, a sort of mini video, just a couple of minutes long, showing you how to access that and the difference between dev build, stable build, and indeed we can talk about early access games in general and what that means if you want. But not to get too sidetracked, we're going to have a look at, first of all, what's been added to the game in June 2023 and then move on to the fixes for the game. So, first thing to be added this month is player icons to the map for clients. So I can't really show off this at the moment because there's only me on the game at the moment, but essentially everyone will have their own marker, but rather than it just showing you where you are, you'll be able to see where everyone else is in real time using the map. We're going to come back to the map in a moment. In fact, I'll show you this feature now. This was added later in the month, but so you're having a look, you're setting your points, your route, so on and so forth. You want to come through here, so you change your points, and then you want to get back to yourself. Now there's a centered players button. Awesome. Yeah, such a simple quality of life improvement. It's now in the game. So that's two of the features. The other one, let's bring up the UI. So there is now, you'll need to use, annoyingly I have control button, just crouch, so left alt button will allow you to come over here and click this lock key. Wondering what that does? Well, if you're jumping around the map, going to different engines, previously you would then, the UI would switch to whatever train you're in. So for example, if we jump over here, it would then take on the UI for this Loco. And if you're needing to stop your train in an emergency, you're watching your train come down here, you need to slam the brakes on, well now you've got to jump back. And if you've got a lot of train that's on the map, that can be frustrating and awkward. But that lock button means no matter where you are, and if you accidentally walk through a Loco without thinking, you're not going to suddenly take control of that. You are going to retain control of any Loco that you had when you click on that button. And just for example, if we jump back to there, you'll see now the reverse is set at 18%, brakes 99, and back to there. What we are going to do is speed this train up a bit now. It's fully loaded with coal, so he can get on his way while we talk. So I've also shown you the recent player button on the map. Now for the next thing, what we need to do is we actually need to put the regulator on that. He'll happily roll away on his own. Because for the next feature, we need to come back to spawn and grab ourselves a crane. Just like this. I'm going to jump in. Let's go over here. This will be the easiest way to show this feature. Bring this over here. Now, if I was a professional and proper YouTuber, I would have had this crane set up, ready to go. But of course I'm not. So, we'll jump out of the crane and let's spawn a box in. Ah, it's on the rail. Not where we want it. Okay. So let's bring the boom up a bit. Extend out. Luckily I've lined this up fairly well. Lower our hook. Need to go out a little bit more. Probably just a little bit. I think that should be about right. And now, see that? We see a chain extend from the hook down to the box. And now, you can see exactly whereabouts it is on the object that you're picking it up from. How cool is that? There we go. Right. We'll leave that hanging. We'll use that again later. And we'll jump back to our train for now. So next is I'm going to bring up our Loco UI. But what if we're building tracks or trains? Loco UI will now automatically close. And that is such a godsend, because if you happen to have a key that is linked to something in the building menu, like for example, tilt up and side tilt, 3 and 4, snap tilt, they're numbers. Well, if you've got a Loco UI on, you can send your train flying at the same time. So you don't want that. So now that is implemented, so you don't have to remember to close your Loco UI. It will do it automatically for you. The next thing is player names, and you can change how far away you'll see them. Now you can't see this feature working right now because sadly I am again on my own on here right now. But in multiplayer, that is a thing. You can now do that, which again, godsend. If you have a bunch of people jump in the game and you all got the same colour helmet, how do you know who's who? So that's in there. Now the next thing isn't going to affect us players as such, and that is there's a proper labelling system in the game. So object names, vehicle names can be changed by the developer, and it's not going to break the saves anymore. So if Joe, for example, put a temporary name in for something and then went, now I need to name that properly now. It's not going to break things if you happen to have that object in your save game. And the next thing, oh, let's just go ahead and save and quit. I get to show two things off at once here. The load saved game. Although we can't put custom names in yet for our save games, it now does give details. So that's a Midland 14 by 14 kilometer map. So that's the one I was just on. So it's going to make it easier now to differentiate between saves. And if, for example, I loaded up this one. Now this isn't one of my saves, so this may take a little while to load in. But it's going to also save it as Midland 14 by 14. So you've got IDs for the maps now, and you can see what you're actually getting. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure which save this is. If this is the one I think it is, we're definitely going to be coming back to it. It is. So I believe this is actually one of the old maps which features in my original intro from last year. So where the train blasts past us, that would be up there. And apologies, but I cannot remember the creator of this map right now, but there we go. And that actually shows us one of the fixes. So one of the fixes being that you can now load into another save without exiting the game fully, and everything will work correctly. Look, map works, all the names are there, everything works. Not sure why that line is never completed up there. But as I say, we will be coming back to this because that route there is very scenic. So I'm going to get some run-bys on that. And in fact, I am going to borrow this save game to populate it more myself. But anyway, additional features added, I should say. So, what else have we got to look at? Well, we've got express points now. Look how long that is. And if I come over here and compare, so that would be an old traditional point there. And if we go let me remember the button, so it's snap end. So place that. You can see the difference in where that point brings you, which means you can run through there a lot quicker. I'll delete that out. Probably not. Hit the control button while it's doing it, Nick. What else have we got? Oh, we've got the other direction. Ah, whilst I'm here, look. So the narrow gauge gets the improved switch controls as well. So that is added. And if we go to the map, you still will have to refresh to get the points to show up. But these are a little bit clearer now. And as I say, you get the improved ones of those. Now, one thing I haven't looked at is we now have improved let's get that up. We have improved controls for building track. The game will do auto super elevation, supposedly. Well, let's test that out. Yes. Kind of hard to see, but probably would have helped if I had our sleepers on. But I think I can detect a bit of super elevation there on the outside track. But anyway, as you can see, there is a whole host of extra options now. And there's improved ground detection and geometry of track as well. So that's going to stop glitches as you're going through. So now moving on to fixes. Some of them I can show you, some I can't, so we'll have some B-roll for some of it. But let's jump over here and I can show you one of the improvements is we still don't have the correct icon for this vehicle, but let's drop it in. And now you'll see it has the correct, just roll away. It has the correct connection. So previously this still had a Buckeye coupling on it, which of course is no good for a narrow gauge. So that is now a thing. Other fixes. Is there anything else I can show you before I jump in? Bear with me. No, so let's jump over to some B-roll footage and I will run you through the rest of the fixes. So, rest of the fixes. So we've got not being able to connect to multiplayer with a blank password. That is now fixed. And clients not getting location info on the map. Also fixed. Crossover hitbox too low. That has now been fixed. So before it wasn't working correctly, so you could end up with derailments as the trains went through the crossover. That's fixed. Also, the missing horn on the FB1 has now been fixed. UI not updating the regulator speed for clients correctly has now been fixed. And the issue with connection object syncing has now been sorted, along with audio issues when starting some diesels up, now fixed. And one thing I could have showed you before, but I didn't get around to it, is the unnecessary settings button from the bottom right of the escape menu. So when you hit escape, there was a settings button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Well, kind of not needed because you've got settings in the top left hand corner. So that has been removed now, which just gives you a cleaner UI. And snapping custom track to an endpoint now correctly shows when you're building. So that should cut down, hopefully, on this issue where track ends up inside out because you're building from the wrong direction. And also, we have a moved crossing one hitbox, so the transition won't be as rough, which extreme level you could have derailment, or the less extreme thing is the train's just sort of shuddering and shaking around as they go through that crossing. That has been fixed. Now we've talked about returning to the main menu and loading a fresh game has now been fixed, so that works without issue. Another thing that has been fixed is the missing rocket tender. We don't know when exactly it disappeared, but that is now back again to select in the menu. For those few of you that may actually want to have a rocket on your map, I'm not one to judge. I mean, personally, I don't see the sense in it because it's so woefully underpowered and, yeah, very slow. So it could be fun if you want a challenging start out to your game, but realistically, I wouldn't use it personally. But it is there and the tender's back now, should you wish to have it. So the other thing is, on the map now, when you delete track, just hit the refresh and it does disappear. So for a little while there, it wasn't working correctly. And when zoomed in, the player head and upper body have been removed. So when you're rotating the screen, you don't get this sort of halo effect of your head and upper body like you're looking through yourself. So that's another little quality of life thing that's been fixed. And the more important one is hitches not being active if on a moving loco or wagon when a save is loaded. So that could end up with either a runaway train or what have you. So that has now been fixed. You're not going to have any issues with that. And the last thing to report for this June update is that steam boiler pressure drops correctly when the water temperature goes below 100 C. So your boiler pressure will decrease as a result of that. So that's been tweaked and fixed. Hopefully you'll have noticed a difference with that if you use the steam locos. If you're a diesel aficionado like me, you probably won't notice, but the fact it has been done is important. And with that said, that is going to be your June 2023 dev build update for Loco Shortline Operations. If you got any questions or comments, let me know down below. I will get back to you as fast as I possibly can. Regular commenters will know that usually you'll get a reply within a day. Sometimes much quicker, maybe within the hour, but if I'm working, so on and so forth, or sleeping, it goes without saying. Yeah, just bear with me. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully it's been informative and you have enjoyed it. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.